This whole idea of this government efficiency agency.
The government, yeah. I mean, call it whatever you want. But
What do you want to call it? What do you call it?
I mean, I think the funniest name is DOGE, the DOGE, Department of Department of Government Efficiency. Yeah, I mean, the idea is pretty simple. Is that like we've got this suffocating, massive federal bureaucracy, and we need to, that is, and the government spending is like bankrupting the country. Our interest payments on the national debt now exceed the Defense Department budget. So, which is the Defense Department budget is like $1 trillion a year. Interest payments on the national debt are now higher than the Defense Department budget, and growing like every month. So it's not like basically we're on a path to bankruptcy. America's on a path to bankruptcy. So we have to cut government spending, or we're just going to go bankrupt, just like a person would if that overspends. But it's even worse than that. Like we're spending money on all these these government agencies, and I actually asked the AI like how many government agencies are there, and the government isn't even sure how many government agencies there are. Like so it's like somewhere around 450, depending on what you call an agency. So they're at the federal level. So that's almost twice as many agencies as years that America has existed. So we're creating agencies at roughly 2 agencies a year.
Wow.
Yes. So this is insane. I bet there's like, I wonder if there's even one person who could even name all the 450 agencies at the federal level. There might be no one, but it's hardly anyone. Let's just say. I bet most people couldn't even name 100. So this is crazy. So we've got this vast suffocating federal bureaucracy that just gets bigger every year. And eventually you get to the point where everything's illegal. You can't get anything done. So
what can be done, like with, obviously the president has a lot of power, but how much power, and what can be done in terms of like eliminating agencies, eliminating waste, eliminating...
Yeah, well, I mean, so if Congress has created an agency, then, often if you look at the law is like pretty simple. Like the agency has like a very simple task, but then that agency over time vastly increases its authority and starts doing things that were never authorized by Congress. That's happened with pretty much every agency. So yeah, you'd have to still, keep an agency. You'd have to match the law, but you can curtail the agencies to be much smaller and say you got to stick to what Congress authorized instead of all this other stuff you're doing. Which I think makes sense.
And so is the other stuff they're doing just essentially bureaucracy run amok, where they just create jobs and create things to do and create a meaning for their existence?
Yeah. It's like a tumor. It's just going to keep growing. In the past, what has served as a cleansing function for rules and regulations is war. Because we're going to lose if we don't kind of clear the decks. But we haven't really had an existential threat of war in the U.S. We've had prosperity for a long time, which has resulted in a massive buildup of rules and regulations every year. And to the point where, like I said, like everything's illegal. And it's not like any one regulation is the problem. It's like Gulliver being tied down by a million little strings. It's not like any one string is the problem, but you got a million of them. So we've got to clear the decks here. And I'm not saying we shouldn't have regulators. I'm just saying we've gone way too far. One should think of regulators like referees on a field, a sports field. You don't want to have no refs. You want to have some number of refs, but you don't want to have way more refs than players.
Right.
You don't want to be like, well, the running back couldn't complete the pass because there were too many regulators in the way because the football field's full of regulators. Yeah. It's like you can't even play the game.
Right.
That's the issue we got right now.
Well, that's a great analogy. Yeah, I can imagine a football field that's filled with referees.
It's just like the football field's filled with refs.
Yeah, you can't even run past them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That I've seen criticism of this idea of you coming up with this department of like firing a bunch of people and what would happen and how would that work. But the criticism doesn't make any sense to me, because if you can prove that there's a lot of wasted time and resources, which I think is pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
And if you could say that this is not the most efficient, like the most efficient businesses are generally private businesses
Yes.
or a company, because they kind of have to be in order to stay profitable.
Yeah.
The government doesn't have to be profitable.
Right.
They don't have to be efficient. They don't have competition.
Yep.
So if you're making cars and your cars break down, they suck, and someone makes cars and the cars are better,
Yeah.
they're going to succeed. So this is the free market. The
Yeah.
government doesn't have this problem when they're in charge of certain things
Yeah.
that could probably be better served by the public, by the private sector.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I just think we've got far too many government agencies. The federal bureaucracy has gotten out of hand, and we just need to pare it down to a sensible level. And if it turns out that like there's some regulation or agency that was doing something useful, we can put it right back. No problem. Like it's like, oh, that regulation was important. No problem. We'll put it right back.
Right, as
That's
long as
not
we
that hard.
actually know, right?
Yeah.
But be able to look at it logically and objectively.
Yeah.
And you were also floating around the idea of offering a large severance to the people that you're going to have removed.
Yeah.
Like a couple years or something like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I mean, these are, again, just ideas, but I mean, it's the point is not that people suffer economic hardship. The point is just that there are more productive things they can do in the economy. And it would be better if they did these other more productive things. And we didn't have this vast federal bureaucracy. So I was like, maybe like a couple of years of pay would be good. And then they could take a vacation. They could take another job and get double pay. I mean, it's not going to create an economic crisis. I think it's actually going to be really good. I think because people can move to where they're making products and services that are more useful to their fellow human beings.
The problem is if someone has like a 25, 30-year career of being institutionalized, you're essentially like a part of the government system. You've sort of programmed your life and your career to be a part of this bureaucratic system. And then you're like, nope, you have to go out and compete in the free market. You're like, huh. That's scary to people. But you have to be valuable. You have to actually be valuable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, let's look at wherever the government pension and stuff. They're not going to be, in tough. I think they'll be in good financial shape.
How are you going to have the time to oversee all this?
Well, I'm pretty good at improving efficiency. I mean,
I would say so.
Yeah.
But still, this seems like a giant undertaking.
Yeah, I'll probably need to beef up security.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But like I said, like no one's going to experience I think economic hardship. That's they'll be fine.